You're driving through the Nevada desert. Miles of cracked earth, cactus, and heat shimmer stretch to the horizon. Nothing but tumbleweeds. And then suddenly, a picture-perfect 1950s suburb. Rows of pastel-colored houses, white picket fences, shiny Buicks parked in driveways, and even laundry fluttering on clotheslines. But here's the catch. No one's home. There never was. Because this entire neighborhood, it was built by the US government just to blow it up. Welcome to one of the strangest chapters in American Cold War history. The fake towns in the middle of nowhere, designed for destruction. And no, this isn't some Netflix conspiracy plot. This actually happened. Let's rewind to the late 1940s and early 1950s. America was fresh off World War II, and tensions with the Soviet Union were heating up. Everyone knew the next war wouldn't be fought with tanks and trenches. It would be nuclear. So, what did that mean for regular folks living in regular towns? The US needed to know what a nuclear bomb would do to an actual American neighborhood. Not just a test site in the middle of nowhere, a real slice of suburbia. So they built them, entire fake communities. They looked just like the ones popping up in California and Ohio and Pennsylvania after the war. Two-bedroom homes, churches, gas stations, barber shops, all fully furnished, right down to the TVs and wedding photos. The idea was simple, in a terrifying kind of way. Detonate nuclear bombs near these ghost towns and study the aftermath. How much damage could a typical house take? Would the fridge survive? What about the plumbing? Could a family hide in the basement and live? One of the most famous fake suburbs was built in Nevada, not far from Las Vegas, at what's now called the Nevada National Security Site. Back then, it was just the desert, and an increasingly radioactive one. This place was nicknamed Doomtown. It was fully decked out with mannequins, posed to look like they were watching TV, making dinner, or playing board games. They wore Sears catalog clothes. Some even had makeup and hairstyles. And then, boom. The US dropped actual nuclear bombs nearby. 16 kiloton blasts, same size as the one that destroyed Hiroshima, and filmed the whole thing in slow motion. Shockwaves blasted the homes. Windows shattered. Roofs flew off. Walls buckled and flames tore through the interiors. Some mannequins were vaporized instantly. Others melted or were buried in rubble. What survived? A few basement shelters and a refrigerator or two. That's it. The government released footage of these tests in the 1950s as propaganda. Proof that duck and cover drills and fallout shelters could save your family. But the reality was way grimmer. If you lived anywhere near a blast, you were toast. Doomtown wasn't just a one-time stunt. Between 1951 and 1992, the US conducted over 1,000 nuclear tests, many with these fake towns nearby. Each one added more data to government models. They even used live pigs in some tests. Yes, pigs. Dressed in tiny uniforms or exposed to see how their skin and organs reacted to nuclear heat. Spoiler alert, not well. The idea was to get realistic results. What would a soldier's uniform protect against? What about skin cream? They were testing everything from bunkers to sunscreen. And these towns weren't just in Nevada. Sites like Dugway Proving Ground in Utah and White Sands in New Mexico were also used for surreal experiments. Chemical weapons, biological tests, even mind control research. Here's the creepiest part. Some of these fake towns, or what's left of them, are still there. If you drive near the Nevada test site, you'll see concrete slabs, scorched house frames, and twisted metal from decades ago. It's like a post-apocalyptic film set that never got cleaned up. Some of the mannequins were even retrieved, stored in labs, or shipped to museums. There are underground bunkers, craters the size of city blocks, and warning signs that'll make the hairs on your neck stand up. This was ground zero for America's nuclear paranoia. And don't think this was all ancient history. Parts of the site were used as recently as the early 2000s for training exercises and weapons testing. Some of the original infrastructure, the roads, the mock power lines, the fake stores, are still used today. You'd think these creepy fake towns would be abandoned by now, right? Wrong. They've just evolved. Today, the US military uses updated fake cities to train soldiers for urban combat. Think Fallujah-style warfare. Inside Fort Irwin, California, there's an entire mock Middle Eastern village complete with actors playing civilians and insurgents. Some buildings even simulate IEDs and sniper fire. So while we're not nuking mannequins anymore, the idea of fake towns lives on, just updated for a new kind of war. There's even one site that simulates a collapsed American suburb, complete with graffiti, rusted-out school buses, and overturned shopping carts, in case the next threat comes from inside. And here's where it gets even more surreal. Some of the nuclear tests in these towns were filmed in Hollywood quality. Multi-angle, slow-mo, color footage that now sits in the public domain. You can watch old government films with titles like House in the Middle, which tried to prove that keeping your home clean would help it survive a nuclear bomb. Spoiler, it didn't. Then there's the time they tested how a beer can would survive a nuclear blast. Apparently, canned beer stored in underground cellars still tasted fine after radiation exposure. The Cold War logic? Even in nuclear winter, Americans need their Budweiser. So next time you're road tripping through the desert and see a ghost town that looks too perfect, remember, it might not be a forgotten mining village. It could have been a nuclear crash test dummy community. A place built not for living, but for dying dramatically on film. And the fact that these fake neighborhoods shaped everything from military strategy to Hollywood disaster movies? That's the real bombshell. If you thought this was weird, wait till you hear about the fake Canadian town built inside a mountain, or the creepy bunker under a West Virginia resort that held a secret for 30 years. More on that next time.